Being attractive will definitely make you more successful. But I'm not talking about being conventionally beautiful or hot. The most successful people I know treat attractiveness like a learnable skill. The skill of showing up as your best self in every room and being genuinely magnetic and respected. So today, I'm going to share 5 principles to become the most attractive version of yourself and how this can bring you massive success. These aren't about genetics or luck. They're about intentional choices you can start making today. My name is Dr. Eva Danial, and I'm dedicated to helping people build their best selves and attract the lives they truly want. Let's dive in. Principle 1. Certainty is the new charisma. I was recently on one of the largest podcasts in the world, The Diary of a CEO with Stephen Bartlett. Before going on, I kept waiting for the nerves to kick in. I waited for imposter syndrome to show up. I waited for those "what if I mess this up" thoughts, but they never came. And it wasn't because I'm some naturally confident person or great storyteller. I'm honestly not. It's because I knew my material inside and out. I had complete clarity on what I think, why I think it, and what impact I want it to have on people. When he asked the opening question, "Why should somebody listen to this conversation?" I already knew the answer. Because I'm speaking to a very specific person who likely hasn't heard my message before. Someone who doesn't know there's a different alternative. Someone who needs to know that success is actually available to them. I wasn't nervous about that conversation. I wasn't uncertain. And I couldn't even make myself get nervous because I'm so convicted and certain in my beliefs and in the success I want my audience to have. When you have that level of certainty, you show up completely differently. You're not scrambling for validation. You're not trying to prove yourself. You're simply there. You're present. You're clear. And that's what makes you genuinely attractive. If you rewind 5 or 10 years, that version of me would have been incredibly nervous and probably would have even self-sabotaged the opportunity because of those nerves, because of the lack of confidence, because I wasn't certain. But today, I'm clear on who I am because I'm certain of the work I've done. I'm certain of the results I achieve. So when people put me on the spot with 20 questions about my core beliefs around work, relationships, money, success, and investments, I'm grounded. Here's what most people don't understand. Charisma isn't about being the loudest or funniest person in the room. It's about certainty. It's about knowing who you are and what you stand for so deeply that people feel it when they're around you. They might disagree with you, but you know who you are and you know what you believe. And here's what really matters. People want to be around somebody who feels good about themselves because that energy is contagious. So few people actually feel genuinely good about themselves. They never challenge their own views to a point where they feel confident enough to defend them. They just have thoughts and aren't certain about them. If you want to become more magnetically attractive, stop trying to be charming and start building your certainty. Pick one area of your life where you want to command respect. That could be your career. That could be your health. That could be your relationships. Become undeniably knowledgeable in that area. Read the books. Listen to the podcasts. Have conversations with people who are better than you. Then force yourself to articulate what you think and why. Write it down. Say it out loud. Practice forming your point of view. The next time you're in a meeting, on a date, or in a social setting, focus on being clear and certain rather than trying to be liked. You'll notice that people start leaning in. They'll ask you more questions. They'll respect you differently. Principle 2. Attractiveness starts with effort. For years, I was the person who rolled out of bed and acted like I was too cool to care. I had goals and was ambitious, but I didn't think I needed to care about my appearance. I wouldn't dry my hair. I wouldn't style it. I'd just roll out of bed a little disheveled. My outfits weren't put together. I wouldn't even iron my clothes. But the reality was I was lazy and I was insecure. I thought if I didn't try, then it wasn't my fault that I wasn't successful. If I didn't give everything, then I could feel okay about not hitting my targets because there was always some extra thing I wasn't willing to do. And because I knew I wasn't willing to do it, it was okay that I didn't quite get where I wanted to go, even though I desperately wanted to be there. Then I started paying attention to the people I looked up to, the women I admired in business, the executives, the leaders. They all put effort in. They weren't necessarily the most naturally gorgeous people, but they showed up polished, intentional, put together. And that's when it clicked for me. Effort radiates. Effort isn't embarrassing. It's essential. When you don't put effort into how you present yourself, you're signaling something to the world. You're saying, I don't care enough about this situation to show up fully. Whether you mean to or not, that signal affects how people treat you. They take you less seriously. They don't give you the same opportunities. They assume you're not that invested. On the flip side, when you show up with effort, when your appearance is polished, your presence is intentional, you're prepared, people notice. They treat you differently. They assume you're competent, professional, and worth listening to. This has nothing to do with vanity. It's about respecting yourself and the people around you enough to show up fully. It's about saying through your actions, this matters. You matter. I matter. Starting tomorrow, commit to putting in 10% more effort than you currently do. If you don't usually style your hair, dry it and style it. If you don't iron your clothes, start. Set your outfit out the night before so you're not scrambling in the morning. Look at yourself in the mirror before you leave and ask, would I take this person seriously? Then pay attention to how people respond to you differently when you show up with more intention. Principle 3. Style is communication. My color of choice used to be cream. There were these very classy, sophisticated women I admired. Women who shopped at exclusive boutiques and wore cream everything. So I started buying cream pieces. I'd go to outlet stores and invest in one item at a time, slowly building a wardrobe that made me feel like I was becoming the woman I wanted to be. But then I realized that cream gets stains that never come out. Coffee stains, spaghetti sauce. There are 1,000 different shades of cream, which makes it nearly impossible to create a truly unified look. Eventually, I switched to black and everything clicked. Black is clean. It's powerful. It's consistent. It became my signature. Now, when people see me, they know what to expect. My style is part of my brand. Here's what most people miss. Style isn't about fashion trends. It's about consistency. When you dress inconsistently, casual one day, formal the next, trendy, then frumpy, people don't know who you are. They can't place you. They can't remember you. You blend into the background. But when you have a signature style, a consistent way of showing up, you become recognizable. You become memorable. And consistency over time actually creates trust. People start associating you with a certain level of professionalism, a certain energy, a certain standard. That's personal branding. Think about the most successful people you know. They all have a look, a uniform, some consistent way of presenting themselves. That's not an accident. It's intentional and it's magnetic. Look at your closet right now and ask yourself, what story is this telling? Is it consistent? Is it aligned with who I want to be? Pick one signature element, a color, a style, a type of accessory, and build around it. For me, it's black. For you, it might be a specific silhouette, certain jewelry, or a consistent level of formality. Moving forward, only choose pieces that fit that signature and get rid of things that don't. Over time, you'll create a uniform that makes getting dressed easier and makes you instantly recognizable. People will start saying things like, that's so you, or I saw this and thought of you. That's when you know your style has become part of your brand and your brand is actually working for you. Principle 4. Alignment is the real secret. I used to think I needed to be different versions of myself depending on the environment. There was professional me at work, casual me with friends, polished me online. But keeping up with all those versions was exhausting and confusing. When I was in college, there was a meme going around that showed how differently people presented themselves on different social platforms. Super casual on Snapchat, filtered on Instagram, professional on LinkedIn. When I tried to do it, I realized just how much I was positioning myself differently for different audiences, and it made me deeply uncomfortable. I felt like I was too casual with my friends when I wanted to be perceived as professional and put together. But then when I was in professional environments, I'd almost pretend I didn't know what was going on. I'd act less confident than I actually was. I'd act casual and go with the flow when really I like structure. I wanted a successful career. I wanted to be taken seriously. But I was undermining myself by making inappropriate jokes and encouraging people to do dumb things. This realization taught me something crucial. The most attractive, successful people I know are the same person everywhere. They don't switch. They don't perform. Who they are online is who they are in person. They're the same person in a boardroom and at a dinner table. And that alignment creates trust. It creates consistency. It makes everything easier because people know what to expect. When you're not aligned, people can sense it. They might not be able to put their finger on it, but something feels off. You seem performative, inauthentic, like you're trying too hard. And that lack of alignment doesn't just affect how others see you. It affects how you see yourself. You start losing track of who you actually are. You're so busy managing different personas that you forget what's real. The most important part of this is to create your environment in a way that allows you to decide who you are in that environment, not what the environment wants of you. When you're clear on who you actually are, you can redirect any situation. And when you're aligned, when the way you dress matches how you speak, which matches how you make decisions, you become magnetic to the right type of people. There's no friction, no second guessing. You show up the same everywhere. That consistency is incredibly attractive. People you want to trust, you will trust you faster. People you want to respect, you will respect you more. And you stop wasting energy trying to keep up with versions of yourself that don't even exist. This week, do an alignment audit. Look at how you show up at work versus at home versus online. Are you the same person? If not, where's the disconnect? What are you hiding? What are you overcompensating for? Start collapsing those personas. Bring more of your authentic self to work. Bring more of your professional self into your personal life. The goal is to create a life where you don't have to code switch. And that alignment will make you more attractive than any outfit or hairstyle ever could. Principle 5. Presence doesn't fade, but pretty does. Let's be honest. Very few people are stunningly gorgeous. Maybe 1% of the population. And if you're in that 1%, congratulations, you won the genetic lottery. But here's the problem, that won't last. One day you'll wake up and realize you're not 25 anymore. And there will be plenty of attractive people who are younger and more attractive than you are. So if you've built your entire identity around being attractive, you're going to have a crisis. I had a friend who was stunningly gorgeous. From a very young age, everybody told her constantly how pretty she was. And as we grew up, I watched her transform from a little girl who was incredibly smart and precocious into somebody who was entirely obsessed with her weight, her clothes, her appearance. The lens through which she viewed herself became her attractiveness, or lack thereof, on any given day. As she got older, she became more and more self-conscious. Even though she was actually becoming more physically attractive, she became self-conscious because she knew that beauty would fade. Yet it was the only thing she was obsessing over, how she could be thinner, prettier, how she could tweak and adjust and fix everything. It was very sad to watch because she could never escape that cycle. She could never reassess the additional assets she had, like how intellectual she really was. She got lost in her attractiveness. The more attractive she was, the more self-conscious she became because she knew this was something she couldn't ultimately control. Here's the truth. You don't want to build your confidence on something you can't control. You can't control whether you're in a relationship. You can't control how conventionally pretty you are. You can't control so many things around you. But you can control how you make yourself an asset. You can control what topics you learn. You can control the information you feed your mind. You can control the people you spend time around. You get to control yourself as an asset. And yes, looks are an asset. If you have them, use them, rock them, appreciate them, but they're not your only asset. The most attractive people I know are attractive because of their presence, not because of their looks. They walk into a room and people notice, not because they're the hottest person there, but because they carry themselves with confidence and intention. They keep their promises to themselves. They show up for others. They've built something that can never be taken away. It never fakes. If anything, it gets stronger with age. The most magnetic 60-year-olds I know aren't trying to look like they're 30. They're owning who they are and showing up with a presence that commands respect. So never put your value in how you look. Invest in how you show up. Do this by asking yourself, what do I want people to remember about me when I leave a room? Is it that I was attractive? That I had a nice outfit? Or is it that I was present? That I was engaged? That I made them feel seen? That I added value? Build your presence by keeping your promises to yourself. If you say you're going to work out, work out. If you say you're going to finish a project, finish it. Every single time you follow through, you build internal confidence. And that confidence translates directly into presence. It radiates outward. The integrated power of these 5 principles. What I want you to understand is that these 5 principles aren't separate strategies. They're interconnected. They work together to create something far more powerful than the sum of their parts. When you develop certainty through deep knowledge, you don't need external validation to feel confident. That confidence naturally translates into effort. You show up because you know what you're there to accomplish. That effort, combined with intentional style, sends a clear message to the world about who you are. And that message, when it's consistent across all areas of your life, creates alignment. And what does alignment create? Presence. Real, grounded, magnetic presence that has nothing to do with your genes and everything to do with your choices. The irony is that most people spend so much energy trying to be attractive in the conventional sense, the temporary, fragile kind of attractive. They chase diet trends. They obsess over their reflection. They spend thousands trying to look younger, trying to compete with people who will always have fresher faces, tighter skin, easier bodies. But the people who are genuinely magnetic, they stopped playing that losing game years ago. They invested in themselves in ways that compound over time instead of depreciate. They built knowledge. They developed character. They kept promises to themselves so many times that they developed unshakable confidence. They got so clear on who they are that they became magnetic simply by being authentically themselves. And here's what's truly beautiful. That kind of attractiveness doesn't fade. It grows stronger. A woman with real presence at 60 will walk into a room and command more respect than most 25-year-olds ever will. Because presence, real presence, comes from a lifetime of keeping promises to yourself, of standing in your values, of showing up fully even when no one was watching. That's the attractiveness that matters. That's the attractiveness that changes lives. That's the attractiveness that creates genuine success and genuine connection. I'm Dr. Eva Danial, and I'm here to help you build that kind of attractiveness, not the kind that fades, the kind that becomes stronger every single year if you're willing to invest in it properly. Thank you for watching. I hope this has given you clarity on where to focus your energy. Your looks are temporary. Your presence is forever. Invest accordingly.